I have done a lot of redrafts over the last couple years over on the second channel, but never have I seen what could happen if those redrafts were to actually go that way. So today, with the power of Madden, at least in my opinion, I did what these teams should have done in the draft based on these players' rookie seasons, and I of course put them on the teams. I redrafted them too. Now I'm only gonna highlight the first round for the sake of time, but I also did the second round. But like I said, we'll highlight all the redraft picks I made for the first round. But I'm super excited to get into this, so I'm gonna keep this intro short. But this is a very different type of video than I usually do, so if you want to see something similar to this, basically another redraft put in Madden, let me know by leaving a like on the video, and let's see if this video can get to like 3,500 likes, I think is a fair goal. It'll let me know y'all want to see another redraft put in Madden. And you know, we hit that like goal on a recent video, so I think that's doable, even though that is higher than I usually set. And speaking of that, be sure to let me know what year you would want me to redraft and put in Madden. I think 2023 would be an interesting one with the top 2 QBs, or whatever year, let me know. And I think I'll just do whatever the most liked comment is, or what I see commented the most, we'll see. And then very last thing before we get into this, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. If you like rebuilds or Madden goofy challenges, that's all I do on the channel. Trying to hit 100K soon. We are closing in. I appreciate it. That's wild. But all right, without further ado, first I'll go over the first round picks I made, like I've said like 3 times at this point. Then we'll see how the careers of these players pan out over the next 10 years on their new teams. I'll put a timestamp on where to skip if you just want to skip where I took the players, but also that's kind of the whole point of this challenge, so I don't know why you would do that, but it would be a lot of talking, so I guess. But with the number 1 pick, pretty clear cut here, I went Jaden Daniels to the Bears. Do I even need to explain that? But to the Commanders at number 2, it's a much more interesting discussion. I did go Caleb, even though he maybe had the worst rookie year out of any of the first round QBs. I think he has the most upside, and this would be putting him in a much better situation, at least based on the coaching staff. Not currently over Ben Johnson, but I would definitely take Cliff Kingsbury over Shane Waldron and Ben Brown. What was the interim OC and head coach's name? I don't know. Either way, I think Caleb Williams would be set up better for success here than on the Bears last year, even though he had a good receiving core last year. But at 3, I kept Drake May. Don't really feel like I have to explain that one. I mean, you could argue like Bo Nix, but again, I'm bringing up situation and surrounding group of players. Drake May did very well considering how bad the Patriots offensive roster was. Not to be hyperbolic, but it was one of the worst rosters, at least on offense, I've seen in a long time. But at 4, this was a tough one, but I did go Malik Neighbors. I thought about just keeping Marvin Harrison Jr. I've seen some insane takes about Marvin Harrison Jr.'s rookie year. I don't want to show him and spoil where I took him, but I've seen people calling him a bust already. He was a good to great rookie receiver. Sure, there were receivers who did better, but none of these receivers, they outproduced Marvin Harrison Jr. mostly because they had no real other receiving options on the team other than Brian Thomas Jr., I would say, with Evan Ingram. Marvin Harrison Jr. had to split targets with like a top 3 tight end in Trey McBride. So of course his numbers weren't as good. But I still will go Malik Neighbors because he was great, did better. But at 5, this was the first really tough decision between 2 players they got. We had to pick between Ladd McConkey for the Chargers and Joe Alt for the Chargers, who they originally took here. But I decided to go with the receiver because of how bad they would be at receiver if they didn't have him. At 6, I did decide to go Marvin Harrison Jr. for the Giants. You could also go Brian Thomas Jr. I just spoiled where I took him, but whatever. Either one would be fine. I mostly just took Marvin Harrison Jr. because I liked him more as a draft prospect, and he went higher, but I have him as the same overall. As you can see, I don't really, either one's fine. For the Titans, I went Joe Alt. I feel like he's just better than JC Latham. I don't feel like that's really controversial to say. I'm not really going to care about scheme fits and everything here. I'm just going to take the better player, in my opinion, who did better, or who I think will be better, with guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. and Caleb Williams. But to the Falcons, I did go with Bo Nix. I feel like this might be a hot take, but if any of these age poorly, I feel like swapping Penix out for Nix here could be a mistake. I am astronomically high on Michael Penix. Just, he hardly played, but I thought he looked amazing when he did play, so I couldn't really justify keeping him over over an Offensive Rookie of the Year candidate. But to the Bears, like I spoiled, I swapped out Rome Odunze for Brian Thomas Jr. You might notice I did a lot of one-to-one positional replacements. That's what all of these have been, other than the Chargers pick. Just, you know, believe it or not, taking out a top 10 pick last year leaves a big hole at that position, so I just either upgraded that position or took the same player for a lot of these early picks. Like the Vikings, I kept the same player, JJ McCarthy. No reason to switch it, unless you want to start Brett Rippon. Now here's the first real big shakeup and what I thought they should have done. I went with Brock Bowers for the Jets for obvious reasons. You could argue definitely that he should go earlier, but again, not taking who I took to a lot of these early teams would have left a big hole. Speaking of big holes, pause. Not taking Olu Fashanu leaves Max Mitchell and Carter Warren as the Jets' current starting tackles, so that's an issue, but I'd rather have Brock Bowers than Olu Fashanu at this point. But to the Broncos, I did take Michael Penix Jr., but for the Raiders, they're our first big loser, unfortunately. Downgraded in the first and second round in this redraft here, but not by a whole lot. I gave him Quinyon Mitchell, was probably the best rookie corner. I don't know how the NFL let the Eagles get him and Cooper DeJean. I'll at least say Quinyon Mitchell was the best outside corner as a rookie. So the Raiders downgrade, but I think they'll live. For the Saints, I just kept Fuaga. Could take Fashanu. I do like him a little more, but I don't really see a reason to make that change. For the Colts, they get Jared Verse, the Defensive Player of the Year. Another guy that maybe should have come off the board already, but again, I went heavy with need in this redraft because I only did the first 2 rounds. They don't get a shot to fix these big needs in the later rounds here because I just kept those players on their teams if they weren't involved in this redraft. But yeah, Jared Verse was my second favorite pass rusher in last year's class. I was higher on him than most people were. Ironically, Latu was my favorite, but Verse obviously did better. I think Latu will be a big breakout this year though. But for the Seahawks, my favorite team, the team I'm going to be usering here, I set everything to automatic. I'm not going to be doing anything. I'm just going to be watching it. But I mean, what do you think I did here? Take a wild guess. I went offensive line. I went Dominic Pooney. Again, not really going to worry about scheme fit and everything, but yeah, I just went with probably the best rookie lineman from this past year other than Joe Alt, or like probably someone I'm forgetting. I don't know. No more Byron Murphy, but like they used him as a nose tackle anyways, so he was still fine. He had a very underrated rookie year, but like it was hard for him to show out as a nose tackle. But for the Vikings, I wanted to switch positions with this pick. This is where they took Dallas Turner, but this roster is so complete. Might have some injury issues because it is an older roster. The only other thing I thought about was Cooper DeJean, but they have Byron Murphy. So I just went Leatu Latu, just in my opinion, an upgrade over Dallas Turner. Won't play as a rookie, but will eventually, or at least won't start as a rookie. But for the Bengals, this is maybe controversial. I went Troy Fautanu. Didn't play as a rookie, or he played like 1 game. He got hurt, but I think if he had played, he would have done really well. I liked him a lot too, but I just went with the guy that I think is a little better than Amarius Mims, but to be fair, Amarius Mims has hardly played, so he should develop, but I just went with a guy who I think is slightly better and also should develop. Now to the Rams, also unfortunately a downgrade, losing Jared Verse, but Chop Robinson is a very good player. I do still think they need maybe even 1 more pass rusher, but I'm sure they'll get that figured out. Now our biggest loser of this redraft, absolutely easily the Philadelphia Eagles. The teams that draft the best get punished the most here unless they have like a top 3 pick or something. So I just went with Drew Phillips for the first round and Kool-Aid McKinstry in the second round. Definitely downgrades over what they got, but 2 good rookie corners, so could be worse. The Jags lost Brian Thomas Jr., so I went with Rome Odunze. Falls down the board here a bit, but would have gone much higher in most receiver draft classes. This just wasn't like most receiver draft classes. It was loaded. Wasn't bad as a rookie, just was not a great passing offense. Should do really, really well here as the wide receiver 1. Really not much else on this team. The Jags are trying their absolute hardest to ruin Trevor Lawrence. But for the Lions, I went Kamari Lassiter. One of the players that surprised me the most. I was worried about his speed, but he did very well as a rookie. And now, I mean, this is a pretty great corner duo. But for the Packers, I just decided to keep Edgerrin Cooper. I said this recently, but maybe the most underrated rookie from this past year. I thought he did very, very well. Wasn't originally their first round pick, but the Packers did just sign Aaron Banks, and they apparently like Sean Ryan. I gave them Christian Mahogany in round 2, stole him from the Lions, but I didn't think it was necessary to take Jordan Morgan here when I don't know what they're even gonna do with him. But for the Bucks, they have a pretty big hole at center now. I don't know why I gave him Jake Andrews, but I decided to keep Bucky Irving. Was far and away the best rookie running back from this class. I'm sure other guys will catch up this upcoming year and in the future, but for rookie years specifically, he was the best. So we'll keep him in the first round here. Don't want to lose him. For the Cardinals, I decided to go JC Latham at 27. I moved him into guard. They also get kind of lucky. I didn't take Darius Robinson to another team, so they just get to keep him. I also gave him Tariq Still in the second round, so they definitely upgrade here. We'll just say Darius Robinson was like their third round pick or something. That's probably where we would have taken him. But to the Chiefs, nothing interesting. I just kept Xavier Worthy. Could have also gone a lineman for sure. They get to keep Kingsley Suamataia, thankfully, I guess, if that's a good thing, but still need some O-line help other than center and right guard. For the Cowboys, I went Zach Frazier, another guy who maybe could have gone earlier, but centers don't usually get drafted that early anyways, even like the best of the best. So I did go Zach Frazier, but they also get to keep Tyler Guyton. For the Ravens, I did just keep Nate Wiggins, even though I had higher rated players at corner. For the 49ers, I did just keep Ricky Pearsall, but I gave him Jackson Powers Johnson round 2. And then finally for the Panthers, I gave him Keon Coleman. They do unfortunately lose both Xavier Legette and Jalen Coker, but I did give him Peyton Wilson round 2. I maybe could have gone a more valuable position, but whatever. We'll go with the good player. But all right, with that out of the way, and now that these teams have their new players, we are gonna see over these next 10 seasons which players do the best on their new teams, which teams do the best, and we'll try to decide who the best offensive player and the best defensive player are from this class by the end of this. But let's just get straight to the end of year 1 and we'll see what happens. But all right, in year 1, we're already having a couple certified EA moments here. The Seahawks finish 5-12, which whatever, that's not the problem. They could be bad. Sam Darnold with a bad offensive line, I don't think is a good mix. I don't think they'll be this bad. But again, that's not the problem. The Seahawks started the season 4-3. I guess they even started 3-0, which, you know, actually, I think this is what happened. So rare Madden W, but after that, it went a little bit off the rails. Only won one more game the rest of the year. And the 8-9 Saints made the playoffs this year. But let's look at the playoff bracket. The 2 1 seeds were the Bills, now with Tyler Nubin and Jalen Coker. They also signed Michael Thomas for some reason, but I don't think I ever highlighted their players. I think they traded out of the first, right? And then the other 1 seed is the Detroit Lions. 2 realistic teams, surprisingly. Now with Kamari Lassiter, and I gave him Christian Haynes in the second round. Didn't look good when he played for the Seahawks, but has upside. But the more surprising teams that made the playoffs were kind of the Philadelphia Eagles, losing Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, still the 2 seed. The Cowboys made the playoffs. I don't even want to talk about the Saints. And the Colts making the playoffs is interesting. They did go with Anthony Richardson, who threw 22 touchdown passes to 29 interceptions. The rest of this team must have been amazing. I don't know. But let's see who did the absolute best from this class. Patrick Mahomes wins MVP. Justin Fields up here, but no rookies from this past year. AFC Offensive Player of the Year goes to Rashee Rice, as per usual. NFC goes to Puka Nacua. No redrafted players at all so far. TJ Watt wins AFC Defensive Player of the Year. Leonard Taylor is the first rookie we see, someone I didn't even redraft, but I thought he was a good UDFA, so sure, whatever. Aiden Hutchinson wins NFC Defensive Player of the Year, now healthy here. But Edgerrin Cooper makes it at number 6, Peyton Wilson at number 9, nice. But now the big ones that will for sure be 2024 drafted players. AFC Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to Ladd McConkey, Xavier Worthy at 2, Jalen Coker at 3, Brock Bowers, Rome Odunze. Interesting list. NFC, Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to Bucky Irving. Brian Thomas Jr. on the Bears at 2, Bo Nix at 3, Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4, Caleb at 5, Jaden Daniels all the way down at 7 though. But he had a pretty good rookie year. I guess everyone else was just amazing. Had a little bit of rushing too. Oh, rough year for Carson Wentz. 32 passer rating. But Ladd McConkey won AFC Offensive Rookie of the Year with only 800 yards, 12 touchdowns. How unbalanced was it? Honestly, Bucky Irving, like, good year, but not as good as his real life season. 1,000 yards, 4.1 per carry, 12 touchdowns. Did get almost 400 receiving yards, but they didn't do as well as I expected. But Defensive Rookie of the Year for the AFC goes to Leonard Taylor. All right, man. Jared Verse at 2, Cooper DeJean at 3, Terrion Arnold at 4. I don't even think I highlighted him. Jerzon Newton at 5. I didn't highlight him either. He was a second-round pick. Lots of second-round picks up here. Only 2 first-rounders in this redraft. But NFC does go to Edgerrin Cooper, Peyton Wilson, the 2 linebackers, Byron Murphy on the Rams, Tyke Smith, and Tyrese Knight. But again, I think only 2 first-rounders, Leatu Latu and Edgerrin Cooper. That's not what I expected. Definitely went a different way on offense. It was almost all first-rounders for the NFC, at least in this redraft. A few less first-rounders for the AFC, but still mostly. Already weird stuff happening. But for this first year, I would actually give Offensive Rookie of the Year overall to Jaden Daniels. Did throw a few too many picks, but I think statistically he did the best. So for year 1, I think I'm going to call the best player Jaden Daniels, even though he was number 7 for the NFC Rookie of the Year. That's wild. But I guess by default, 12 sacks and 14 TFLs for Leonard Taylor. Yeah, it looks like he was the best defensive player. How about Verse? 9 sacks, 14 TFLs. Edgerrin Cooper, 6 picks. Peyton Wilson, 5. It's a tougher decision for defense, but I'm going to throw the curveball. I'll say Leonard Taylor. Already off to a hot start here. But let's get into the offseason. Let's see what these teams do in free agency. But first, let's see who wins the Super Bowl here with their new players. It is just going to be the 1 seeds, Detroit Lions and Buffalo Bills. That's rare. I feel like at least in the playoffs for the most part, in year 1, it's pretty tame. Once you start going a few more seasons, it gets a little bit off the rails. But even here, we saw a lot of weird players do well. So let's see who wins here. The Bills with Jalen Coker, Tyler Nubin, or the Lions with Kamari Lassiter and Christian Haynes. Let's see. It is going to be the Bills, 40-25 over the Detroit Lions. Really, is that scoregami? I feel like that might be scoregami. That is a weird score. Nope. One time, 2019, the Browns beat the Ravens 40-25, but this would be the second ever. And I almost forgot to mention the worst teams in the NFL. Things didn't really change here. The Titans were still the worst team. Who did I repick to them? I remember I kept Tavondre Sweat, but oh yeah, I gave him Joe Alt. We could switch him to left tackle, but they signed Broderick Jones apparently. I was gonna say Dan Moore. I don't know if he has any right tackle experience, so I don't know. But the Browns and Patriots all finished as the 3 worst teams. The Seahawks also one of the worst. The Cardinals, that really surprises me. Now with Malik Neighbors, JC Latham, Tareeb still getting to keep Darius Robinson and getting to keep Trey Benson and Dadrian Taylor Demerson. How did they go 5-12? That was like one of the luckiest teams here. But the Falcons were bad, Raiders were bad, Commanders were bad. I don't know if that's surprising or not. I mean, Jaden Daniels was kind of the reason they were good, but I think Caleb Williams also would have done better here. So not better than Daniels, but better than he did for the Bears. The good teams make sense for the most part. The bad teams, some of them are questionable. But in free agency, it's kind of just the leftovers from real life. Tyron Smith goes to the Bengals. That's probably good. Zadarius Smith to the Vikings, like they need a better pass rush. Also Keenan Allen. CJ Mosley to the Rams. It's not that interesting here. It's just a lot of older players for the most part, but still wanted to show it. Free agency will be more interesting in the future, especially when we get all these players coming off their rookie contracts. But all right, in the draft, I don't want to show too many of these picks just for the sake of time, but I did use the real life draft classes. I sure hope the Titans take Cam Ward here. I mean, Abdul Carter, that would be fine too, but they have Mac Jones. I mean, go watch the Raiders 10-year rebuild I did. You'll see what Mac Jones Browns did. That was a lot of fun. Be sure to go watch that after this if you want to. So maybe the Titans don't have to take Cam Ward in this world, but based on a real-life standpoint, I don't think Mac Jones is really your savior. They do go Cam Ward. The Browns, either Hunter or Carter, I would hope. They do go Carter. The Patriots go Genty. I don't actually hate that for some reason. I mean, I would go with a lineman, but I don't hate that. What are the Seahawks gonna do, though? They wouldn't go O-line, but they might here. Why is Michael Williams always the 4th pick? That would make me stop being a Seahawks fan, I think. Travis Hunter goes to the Cardinals. I'll show the top 10. Ted McMillan goes to the Falcons. Mike Green goes to the Raiders. Jahdae Barron goes to the Commanders. I kind of like that. Mason Graham goes to the Broncos as if they needed a better pass rush. Well, he's more of a run stopper, but a better D-line. And Will Johnson goes to the Panthers. Shedeur Sanders still available, though. Will Campbell, Armand Membu, Tyler Warren. Definitely some good players left. Well, the board really moved Dart up here. But all right, I'll show a few more of the first-round picks after the draft. I feel like that's pretty important to show. But all right, it looks like the Buccaneers went Matthew Golden. Will Campbell to the Bears. Shedeur Sanders goes to the Giants at 14. The 49ers get Membu. The Jags spend another first-round pick on edge. They go James Pierce. Tyler Warren to the Rams. Kelvin Banks to the Vikings. But how about the QBs? Jackson Dart goes to the Seahawks. What are we cooking? They don't have as many picks here as they should in real life, unfortunately. They just don't have them in Madden for some reason. Well, the last Madden update was before they traded Geno and DK, so they don't have those picks here, but whatever. This is definitely a draft. True Seahawks fashion, go 2 safeties instead of any linemen. But it looks like the Steelers get Will Howard, the Saints get Tyler Shuck, Cardinals get Kyle McCord, Chargers get Jalen Milroe, Bills get Quinn Ewers, Eagles get Dylan Gabriel. Interesting. I definitely think the Falcons were the winner of this draft, though. Ted McMillan, Nick Emenwari, Josiah Stewart, Dylan Fairchild. Either that or the Panthers did very well. The Patriots was unique. The Bears also did very well. Will Campbell, Omarion Hampton, enough said. But heading into year 2, after this first offseason, it looks like the Eagles are still the highest overall team at an 87, despite, again, losing the first 2 picks of their very good draft. But I guess, to be fair, they did replace them with not that much worse of players. And the lowest overall team is a tie between the Carolina Panthers and the Cleveland Browns. Go figure. I thought it was going to be the Titans still, but I guess the alt pick helped. It looks like Sweat developed. They got Cam Ward in the building, so it's looking up here. The Browns are probably the unluckiest team here, already being in a rough spot and not having a first-round pick in this redraft. If they did have their original first, they could have gotten a very good player, probably a QB, but we all know how that went. But all right, let's get into year 2. All these guys have even more development now. We'll have to see how long it takes for one of them to win either MVP or Defensive Player of the Year. We'll see. Or I guess Offensive Player of the Year for a receiver or running back, but a quarterback will probably win every Offensive Player of the Year, knowing Madden. But in year 2, the Seahawks slightly improve here, finishing 8-9 with 2 wins to close the season, at least. Another 8-9 team in the playoffs. The Commanders do at least make the playoffs here, but somehow the Cleveland Browns make the playoffs here, having the worst roster in the league. Overall means nothing in Madden, if you couldn't tell. I just called them the unluckiest team, and they immediately make the playoffs, of course. But the 2 1 seeds, Chiefs and Eagles, 2 realistic teams. The Falcons, I said they had one of the better drafts. They finished as the 2 seed for the NFC. Other than that, it's pretty standard playoff teams. The 49ers healthy here make the playoffs. They did lose Dominic Pooney, but they got Jackson Powers Johnson. That's not too much of a downgrade. But for the AFC, it was pretty standard too. I would say the Jets are standard here, getting Brock Bowers and having Leonard Taylor do as well as he did. Just the Browns are the weird team this year. But I do think the most interesting team is the Commanders. With Caleb Williams barely sneaking into the playoffs, but having Jahdae Barron, I gave him Mike Hall Jr. in round 2. They drafted Jack Sawyer, who I like. I gave him Roger Rosengarten, and I gave him Renardo Green. How many second-round picks did they have? I kind of forgot about that. Oh yeah, they had Jerzon Newton, Mikey Sainristil, Ben Sinnott, which I think were all good picks, but I think I took slightly better players here, at least in my opinion. But let's check out yearly awards. I highly doubt we have our first MVP, but I think we could have our first Defensive Player of the Year. We'll see. Mahomes wins MVP again, but we do have some guys up here. Bo Nix Nix made it. I think he is the only one. So I guess for QBs, Bo Nix was like the second best quarterback last year behind Daniels. Did the best this season, it looks like. But AFC Offensive Player of the Year goes to Lamar. Ladd McConkey at 6. Amon-Ra St. Brown, NFC Offensive Player of the Year. No 2024 draft players. That's wild. Max Crosby takes AFC Defensive Player of the Year. Madden loves him. And Defensive Player of the Year for the NFC goes to Aiden Hutchinson again. No 2024 draft players. Wow. So I guess this year, by default, the best player was Bo Nix. Looks like Michael Penix was pretty good too. Jaden Daniels, get a higher passer rating at least, if you value that. I kind of do. This year, I will give it to Bo Nix for offense. Well, let's see how Ladd McConkey did. 1,350 yards, 14 touchdowns. I might have to give it to him. You know what? I will. No quarterback has been like top 5 yet. McConkey, at least statistically, was a top 5 receiver. So I'll say he was the best offensive player this year. Bucky Irving did well too. Oh my God, dude. I love this game. 3 players over 20 sacks, 29.5 for Max Crosby. All right, man. Sure. Who had the most sacks out of this past rookie class? Leonard Taylor, again, with 11. Had less TFLs this year, but good lord. 10 for Fisk. I would say he did better because he did have the tackles for loss. How about picks? Not that sacks and picks are absolutely everything, but I feel like that's our best thing to go off of here. Edgerrin Cooper with 4. He had a pretty nice year. I might have to give it to him. Tyke Smith did really well, it looks like. Chris Abrams Drain, now on the Giants. But I would give it to either Braden Fisk or Edgerrin Cooper, or one of the DBs. I don't mind that either. But all right, season 2 in the books so far. 4 different players for best offensive and defensive player of the year in these first 2 seasons. But let's see who wins the Super Bowl this year. Is it going to be 2 1 seeds again? No, it is the Broncos versus Buccaneers. A 5 seed versus a 6 seed. See, this is more what I come to expect in Madden. I'm honestly shocked it wasn't the Commanders in the Super Bowl. That's what I would have predicted. I would have predicted Commanders versus Chiefs, honestly, or Ravens. But let's see who wins this one. Still no repeat Super Bowl teams. I guess it's only been 2 years, but the Buccaneers win it 28-25. We went from almost scoreagami to, I think, one of the most common scores, or I think the most common score is 24-21. It's either that or like 21-17 or something like that. Something like that. But in free agency this year, Terry McLaurin goes to the Super Bowl losers, I guess, in the Denver Broncos. That's wild. Khalil Shakir goes to the Titans. They're the same overall here. Shakir's definitely developed. Luke Gadecki goes to the Steelers. Zach Sealer to the Super Bowl winners. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kyle Pitts to the Titans. Jamison Williams goes to the Commanders. So they immediately replace Terry McLaurin. Not really the same type of player, but Greg Newsome to the Broncos. Wow, the Broncos were busy here. They were apparently mad that they lost the Super Bowl. That's probably what you want to do. If you're that close and you can't get it done, keep it alive for another year. I'm curious to see some of these overalls next year. I wonder if the Broncos are going to be the highest overall team. We'll see. And I wonder what the Commanders are going to be looking like. I feel like we're going to have some weird overall teams. But oh yeah, I forgot to check again. The worst teams were apparently the Saints, Giants, Texans, Cowboys after they made the playoffs last year, and Dolphins after they made the playoffs last year. Looks like the Titans did slightly better this year. What happened with the Texans? How was this team one of the worst? What's their O-line looking like? Did they get worse? They have Jalen Moore now for some reason. I definitely wouldn't say it's worse. Oh yeah, I did give them Jordan Morgan. I don't know how this was the 3rd worst team in the league, but sure, whatever. They have Baron Browning back at playing off-ball linebacker. Don't know about that one. Well, if any team's gonna go from bottom 3 team to Super Bowl champion, I think they have a pretty good shot. But the Saints do take a QB. Oh. Yeah, let's keep Derek Carr as a 3rd string QB instead of releasing him and saving 51 mil in cap. What are we doing? Nothing wrong with Madden at all. Nothing at all. But the Giants go with the defensive end. The Texans also go with the defensive end. I mean, to be fair, I don't know what they should have picked, but ooh, based on that guy's ratings, that didn't look great. Why? I mean, they'll eventually need someone to replace Danielle Hunter, but that guy didn't look that good. The Cowboys go receiver. That's probably the right move. And the Dolphins also go defensive end. That guy also doesn't look that good. No A ratings. He had a lot of B's, but unless he's a great athlete, I don't know. Let's see how these teams did. I did only use normal draft classes here, by the way. I didn't use strong, so we'll see how these look. What? Why couldn't I have been actually drafting in this? This is the highest overall player I have ever seen. 88 overall Luke Price. I didn't know it was possible to get to get an 88 overall with, let me show y'all, normal draft classes. I thought like the ceiling was raised when you bump it up to strong or very strong. I guess not. I guess it's just how good the players are down the board. But yeah, I was right. Sanders, not a good player. 72 overall. I was also right. Riddick, 72 overall. See, I know what I'm talking about sometimes, but the QBs, 81 overall Saunders, 80 overall Stevenson to the Raiders. Good running backs. This was better than like most of my strong draft classes. Does that slider even do anything? I'm convinced it doesn't now. This seems like I edited this guy in. Well, I don't know why I would do that in this challenge where I didn't even take him, but I didn't know an 88 overall was possible. I've seen an 87 running back. I don't think I've ever seen an 88, at least not in Madden 25. That's crazy. But yeah, I would pretty safely say the Bears had the best draft. They also got a 77 overall corner. They got a 75 overall center, 73 overall guard. Pretty good. The Steelers also did pretty well. And the Titans, thankfully, because they needed it. I mean, they were better this year, but not a whole lot. But all right, heading into year 3, can we please escape the Chiefs? They're an 88 overall here. I didn't really even do anything that special for them in the redraft, but they're the highest overall team again. The teams that are tied for second are a little more interesting. Still the Eagles, the Lions, but also the Buccaneers. That's rare, especially because, again, I didn't really do anything all that special for them. I just kept Bucky Irving. They lost Graham Barton here. They've just developed back up on their own, I guess. I don't know. They signed Isaiah Likely, but they also have Nicholas Petit-Frere at right tackle. Maybe the worst starter in football last year. But the lowest overall teams are weird. The Saints, sure. The Panthers, sure. But the Rams are one of them. The Jags, which, not weird for real life, but here, they're usually one of the teams that go like 13-4 when they shouldn't. Same with the Panthers. We haven't really seen that here. The Cardinals are also one of the worst. That's really weird, especially after they also drafted Travis Hunter. The Browns, not weird. And the Bills, I guess they've just lost players here. They lost Khalil Shakir. I'm sure they lost a few others. Weird times here, weird times. But all right, we'll see if it looks like the best QB in the preseason was Quinn Ewers on the Bills, but we'll see if my Texans Super Bowl prediction pays off. It might. I kind of doubt it, but it might. Let's see what shenanigans happen this year. That's one of my favorite words. I don't know why. Looks like the same old here for the Seahawks. Once again, 8-9, just keeping up being mid every year. Other than that first season where we went 5-12. We also won the last 2 games of the season over 2, at least real life good teams, but almost all of the lowest overall teams in the league made the playoffs here. The Rams were the 1 seed for the NFC at an 81 overall, tied for the worst. The Eagles barely made the playoffs. See, this is where Madden starts going off the rails. Year 1 is usually pretty tame. Year 3 is where the metaphorical shit starts to hit the fan. The Bills were the 2 seed at an 81 overall. I mean, Bills real life, sure, that's fine. Here, they've lost some players, that's for sure. Everything else is whatever. Are the Colts still starting Anthony Richardson and making the playoffs? Hold on. I mean, maybe he's doing better here. I've seen him win MVPs. He's an 85 overall with normal dev. But yeah, he's doing a lot better here. Okay. How does he not have star? I'm sure he will soon. What was their QB room? Hold on. Wait a second. Zach Wilson, Bailey Zappi. Every team in Madden creates just nightmare blunt rotations. I don't know why, but the backup QB room, or just the QB room for every team, gets really odd. I guess it's even kind of tame here. Like, teams will sign like Russell Wilson, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Kenny Pickett, draft Jackson Dart, move like Tyreek Hill to QB, sign someone from like the German football league, and they'll somehow make the playoffs. Like, not much of that yet here though. But all right, let me check this early here. Who was the worst team this season? Probably a good team on paper. Good call, the Commanders. Also the Falcons, who were a playoff team last year. The Saints, they were one of the lowest overall teams though, so fair. The Raiders, fair. Titans, fair. Panthers, fair. Cowboys, probably fair. The Commanders and Falcons though, not having the same success here without Jaden Daniels. I mean, even the Bears without Jaden Daniels, or with Jaden Daniels, not doing that well. I don't think they've made the playoffs once. But all right, let's see what kind of stuff happened this year. Can we get a different MVP? I'm fine with Lamar. I'm fine with a usual suspect. Mahomes 3 in a row, though. Please, spare me. Also, no 2024 players. Man, so apparently do not switch Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams. But Ladd McConkey at 8 for AFC Offensive Player of the Year. Traylon Burks wins NFC Offensive Player of the Year. Tyler Johnson back on the Rams at number 6. No 2024 players, unless I'm blind, maybe. Myles Garrett wins NFC or AFC Defensive Player of the Year, probably getting 30 sacks. He got 36 in the... What was I doing? Where did we have Myles Garrett? That wasn't in the Raiders tenure. That was in... Was it in the Raiders tenure? Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah, he broke the sack record by like 13 and a half, because that's normal. Again, go watch that one after this. That was a lot of fun. But Cooper DeJean at 8, and then NFC goes to Micah Parsons, but no 2024 players. Do not take them off of their current teams, especially the QBs. The best passer rating this year, I guess, went to Bo Nix again. I mean, we eventually got to call him the best this year. He's been second, or at least like the second QB every year. We'll finally give it to him this year, I think. Well, it depends on what McConkey did. Looks like Michael Penix was up there. Daniels wasn't all that good. His worst year so far, probably. Gardner Minshew, oh, that wasn't a full starting year, I was gonna say. Caleb was not great, only a 62 completion percentage. But let's see, Irving, where's he at? Just over 1,000 yards, 4.3 per carry. He was good. McConkey, almost 1,200 yards, 18 touchdowns, though. I still think I'll give it to Bo Nix, just because he's been probably deserving, and I would say it's up in the air this year, so I'll give it to Nix. But defensively, let me guess, Leonard Taylor, where's our boy at? No, it looks like Jared Verse, 8.5 sacks, 15 TFLs this year. Nobody hit 10. Fisk with 7. Where was Taylor? Dallas Turner with 6 this year, finally starting. I guess maybe he was starting last year, too. Where's Leonard Taylor? Not who I thought I would be really looking for in this challenge, but 4.5, but 19 TFLs, so I don't know, he should still be in consideration. It doesn't even show him for the full list, though, so are we seeing all of them? Oh, Byron Murphy. He didn't show up in the full NFL list, but he had 9.5 sacks, 11 TFLs. Maybe he's got to win it here. Although Tyke Smith with 5 interceptions this year. Mikey Sainer still 4. Did have more tackles, for whatever that's worth. Like the most overrated stat of all time. Oh, this is a really tough one again. Probably between Tyke Smith... Oh, no way. I think that's an easier decision than I thought. Cooper DeJean had 7 interceptions this year. So once again, are we going a different 2 players for year 3? Cooper DeJean and Bo Nix? I need to start writing them down. But all right, let's see who's going to be in the Super Bowl this year. I definitely don't think I was right with the Texans prediction. Who was the worst team this year? Oh yeah, we already saw, never mind. Where did the Texans finish? 7-10. All right, bad call. But let's see who makes the Super Bowl. It's probably gonna be, we're getting off the rails, so I'm gonna predict Eagles at 9-8 versus, by the way, we had 4 9-8 teams in the NFC, but I'm gonna guess Eagles versus Browns because I think they're the lowest overall team in the AFC. Either them or the Bills. I'm probably wrong, but we'll see. This game's unpredictable and predictable at the same time. It's Packers and Chiefs. Okay, that's fine. 2 12-5 teams. That's like the most sane Super Bowl we've had, at least more sane than last year. But the Packers win it 23-21. I mean, despite winning 3 MVPs, Mahomes has not won a Super Bowl here yet. Still waiting for a 2024 draft MVP or someone to get close, so we'll see if that happens. But in free agency, there were some good safeties. The Giants get Kyle Hamilton. Speaking of redrafts, I think when I did a 2022 redraft, I did give the Giants Kyle Hamilton, so that works out here. Again, leave a like if you want to see me do another year. It'll let me know y'all want to see either like a 2023 redraft or whatever y'all decide in the comments. I want to start doing more of these. But the Patriots get Brian Branch. Rams get Ronnie Stanley, Mike and Wainu to the Saints, Justin Fields to the Browns, up to an 85. He's developed 10 overall here, I think, in my custom rosters. I have him at a 75. The Giants also got Elton Jenkins, Cam Akers in the year of our Lord 2026. That's wild. He's just had injury issues. When is the 2024 draft free agent class? Is it next year? Because Branch was 2023, right? Hamilton was 22, but but they probably picked up his 5th year, the Ravens. So I think next year we'll start to see some of the past draft rookies, especially because a lot of these teams are probably going to be broke. They're probably not going to be able to afford to re-sign some of these players. I mean, we've seen how these teams manage the cap. We saw what the Saints did with Derek Carr. Thankfully, he's gone now, but that was something. But all right, the Commanders have the #1 pick somehow. Things have not gone well here for them. If you're a Commanders fan, I'm sorry. I thought it should have gone much better so far, to be fair. I don't know what has happened here. Like, this is still a good team, just they're getting unlucky. But they go with a wide receiver. I mean, he looks pretty good. He doesn't look amazing, though. To be fair, I don't know what his speed is, but, like, they have Jameson Williams at 26, Rashad Bateman at 27. They'll need another, but don't you have a bigger need and maybe a better player that you can take? I don't know. The Falcons go with an edge rusher. That guy looks pretty good from what I can see. Saints go with a tackle. That's going to be a good O-line now, probably. Raiders go defensive end. That guy looks pretty good. He had a few C ratings, so maybe not. And then peek to the Titans. That guy looks good. That's a lot of A's and B's. So will the Titans finally be good? We'll see. A lot of the teams in the top 5 have pretty good rosters, especially now. Very much underperforming, though. Especially the Falcons. With how well Bo Nix is done, how bad is their defense? Like, their backfield is Bo Nix, Bijan Robinson. They have Drake London and Tet McMillan. That's maybe a little redundant, but sure. Oh yeah, they have Offensive Player of the Year, Traylon Burks. Tight end could be better. They did just lose Kyle Pitts. Okay, their O-line is not great. Guard, they're pretty good, but tackle and center, not ideal. Okay, I think I found the issue. This is an interesting front 7. It's got some pieces, but it also doesn't have any pieces, if you know what I'm saying. But, I mean, they did just take a pass rusher, so finally a good season? We'll see. Okay, maybe not. The Commanders, the receiver they took, he looks better than I expected. I thought he'd be like a 76. He's a 78. I don't know if he's #1 pick worthy, but maybe with only normal draft classes here, he might be. I mean, yeah, what was last year's class? Look at this one. There's 180 overall. Last year, there was an 88. I have never seen that before. Carson Pearson, not good. Basket, not good. Denard, I'm shocked Denard and Peak are the same overalls. Oh, they're both edge rushers. I assume they would be defensive ends, or like 3-4 defensive ends. Well, I guess Peak is 280, so he's a tweener, kinda. Who were the good players in this class? I guess the best was the Jags, Mark Hall at tight end. Gray was the second best player. See, this is what I thought last year would be like. 1 or 2 80s, only one here, a few 78s, couple 77s. This is what I expected last year. I will say the Commanders did very well. They also got a 77 overall pass rusher. Could be looking up for them, maybe, but not many players of note this year. But all right, heading into year 4, take a wild guess about who the highest overall team is. It's the Chiefs. I'm another Mahomes MVP and highest overall team away from like relocating them to London and moving all their players to punter. Can we get a new team in here, please? I guess they haven't won a Super Bowl, but I want a new highest overall team and I want a different MVP, please. But the lowest overall team, I haven't even checked yet. I think I saw. Yeah, that's surprising. Although I don't know who their QB is. The Raiders are the lowest overall team. I guess they did lose Cooper DeJean, or not Cooper DeJean, other white boy, Brock Bowers. But I mean, Quinyon Mitchell, that's not necessarily a downgrade. I mean, technically in terms of overall, but like maybe the best offensive player from the class so far to maybe the best defensive player from the class so far. Who is their QB? Oh yeah, it's Stevenson, who it didn't look like he did well as a rookie. 26 picks. Yeah, not great. Was decent in terms of everything else, but I see the problem. This roster kind of sucks. They'll probably outperform this because they have Max Crosby, but we'll see. I think this is the first time we've had one lowest overall team, right? The last few years it's been a tie, but let's see what happens this year. Will we finally see an MVP or offensive player of the year or defensive player of the year or something for this class? We'll see. This is where they will be about entering their prime, so we should see one of those. All right, I hope this isn't a future outlook for the Seahawks. We finish 8-9 again. What's happening? Is it just going to be the same thing over and over? Maybe. It's a lot lot of the same teams in the playoffs, to be fair. At least similar. Definitely some teams did better this year than last year, though. Some of the teams that picked early. We had the Falcons in the playoffs. The Cowboys were bad at one point. The Titans, and most interestingly, the Commanders did make it this year. And no, I already said the Falcons. But the 2-1 seeds, Madden's two favorite children, the Chiefs and the Cowboys. What is this, Madden 24, where every single year we had a Chiefs-Cowboys Super Bowl? That was hell. If there could be a video game hell, that was it. But other than that, it's the Bucks again, Packers, 49ers, Eagles, Steelers, Ravens, Dolphins have been in the playoffs here, Bills, Bengals, still a lot of the same teams. But we still very well could have two brand new teams in the Super Bowl once again. But finally, good lord, Josh Allen wins MVP here. At least it's something different. Shedeur Sanders up there, that's cool. But Caleb Williams finally makes the MVP list at number 8. They're finally reaching what I thought they would. Also, Sam Darnold up here, that's something. Josh Downs takes AFC Offensive Player of the Year, but I don't see a 2024 class player. JSN wins NFC Offensive Player of the Year. How did the Seahawks only go 8 and 9? I don't know. Rashad Bateman at number 2. Bucky Irving made it though, number 8. That's cool. Defensive Player of the Year, Greg Rousseau for the AFC. That's kind of unique. Mason Graham on the Broncos up there, but no 2024 players. And NFC goes to Micah Parsons again. First 2 years, Hutchinson won back-to-back. Past 2, Parsons won back-to-back. But Chop Robinson made it. So I guess we have a pretty clear cut. We'll probably just say Chop was the best defensive player. Irving was the best offensive player. Although that's happened before where we only had one player on each side of the ball and I decided something else. So let me check real quick. Mahomes had 59 passing touchdowns. How did he not win MVP? What? Josh Allen had 33. Almost every QB in the league this year had 30 plus passing touchdowns. What were there, like 4 in real life this past year? Actually, I don't know how many. Don't quote me on that. Well, I guess we could also say Caleb Williams was the best offensive player this year. 43-ish 100 yards, 38 touchdown passes, 13 picks. Michael Penix also did pretty well. Jaden Daniels also added 400 yards on the ground. I still would probably lean Caleb though. I mean, he had 360, so yeah. Ladd McConkey was great again though. Probably a bad choice of words for him, but let's see sack numbers. I'll check both AFC and NFC just because I think it shows more. I don't know why it doesn't show all of them. Well, I think we found our defensive player of the year. 13.5 sacks for Leonard Taylor again. How is he not up there for AFC defensive player of the year? Unless I missed him. I don't think I did. Let's see, anyone else? Verse, he's been hovering right around 8.5 every year. Ooh, Chris Abrams-Drain and Malik Mustafa had 5 picks each for the NFC players. I would probably lean Drain out of those two though. Abrams-Drain, he had more pass deflections, a few more tackles for whatever that's worth. Chop did well, but at least statistically, especially as an interior rusher, I'm giving it to Leonard Taylor again. I would say either him or Chris Abrams-Drain. So yeah, I'm glad I looked and didn't just give it to Verse. So Caleb Williams, Chris Abrams-Drain. Wait, how did Bo Nix do? Oh, probably his worst year so far. 16 picks, 24 passing touchdowns, 3,500 yards. Not a great season. Definitely was better the last 3 years. But let's see who's going to be in the Super Bowl this season. Hopefully the Seahawks fix they had the worst defense in the league this year with Mike McDonald as their head coach. That's certified EA moment. Okay, close to what I don't know if I officially predicted it, but Ravens Cowboys it's gonna be. I said Chiefs Cowboys. Speaking of scoregami, 11-3. Yuck. What was that? 3 field goals and a safety for the Ravens? I guess it could have been a touchdown, 2-point, and a field goal. I don't know why they would have gone for 2 though, so it was probably 3 field goals. Wait, now I'm curious. How do you get 11? I guess maybe they missed an extra point? No, that doesn't make any sense. Wait, no, they scored 4. Did they get 2 safeties in the first quarter? Or did they get a field goal and a 1-point safety? I don't know if that can even happen in Madden. I don't think it's ever happened in real life. Maybe once. I think it happened in like college football or something. I don't know. I wish I could see what happened. Odafe Owe got 2 safeties. Not only did they get 2 safeties in 1 quarter, but it was by the same player. I love Madden. This game's great. Well, I'm glad I looked. I said there are 2 possible outcomes. I guess there are 3. I guess technically you can get like 4 safeties and a field goal too, so there are a few, I guess. Anyways, who's gonna win the Super Bowl here? It is the Cowboys, kind of the villain of Madden, either them or the Chiefs, I would say, or the Bills or Ravens. They're up there as like 2 of the dominant teams in simulation. Ooh, we have a storyline on the right side. I'm not coming back from Ladd McConkey. I feel like whenever I see that storyline, it's just a blatant lie, and they do come back, but oh, I can't even see who's in free agency until the recap because I set it to auto. Whatever, that's fine. Let's see if there were players from the 2024 class in free agency. It looks like it. Whoa, the biggest free agent class by far. It looks like the Seahawks sign Aiden Hutchinson. They needed defense, and the CPU is actually smart enough to sign defense. Hired Madden Simulation as the Seahawks GM. It at least recognizes dire needs, unlike John Schneider. It wouldn't leave Satawa Laumea as a starting guard, I can promise you that, or Anthony Bradford. Anyways, we also signed Kalen Bullock, and we re-signed Dominic Pooney. Okay, that's cool. So one mover from the 2024 class we see so far in Kalen Bullock, but the Panthers signed Jahmyr Gibbs. The Rams get Ladd McConkey, pairing him with Puka Nacua. Wild receiver duo. They also have Tyler Warren, who hasn't really developed here. A little bit, but he's only ranked 17 for tight ends, so not really. Hasn't gotten many yards, but Jalen Carter goes to the Chargers. Zach Frazier also to the Rams, really adding to that offense. They also get Nolan Smith. Jaden Hicks, another mover, goes to the Saints. The Saints sign another Chiefs safety. First it was Tyrann, then Jordan Reed, now Jaden Hicks. Jonathan Grenard to the Bills. Peyton Wilson also to the Rams. Every year there's a team that goes kind of crazy. It was the Rams this year. Braden Fisk to the Panthers. He hasn't really developed as much as I thought. He didn't even get superstar, having 10 sacks twice, right? Renardo Green to the Colts. Still only star dev here. Marshawn Nealand to the Bears. Not many first round picks left their teams, but some pretty good ones. I'm sure we'll see more next year because they're probably on 5th-year options this year. But all right, in the draft, it's kind of the same old for a lot of teams up here, unfortunately. The Patriots have the #1 pick. Have they had a good season so far? What is their O-line looking like? That's my biggest question. I don't know why I went to the Panthers. They at least have Ursery, Cole Strange. Yeah, it's not. Okay, well, they don't have a right guard, but other than that, it's not terrible. Although, what's Ursery ranked at this point? 28. Yeah, maybe that's pretty bad. Wow, that is the longest. Hold on. It went off the screen. What was I looking at there? Well, it almost goes off the screen. Tyree Cummings, awesome last name. He has a long college name, has a lot of tags, has X Factor. It almost leaves the screen. That's something. Don't know that I've ever seen that before. But all right, let's see what these top teams do. The Patriots go with a safety at #1 overall. That better have been the best safety prospect of all time. Did they even need a safety? They have Malachi Starks and Brian Branch. Maybe I don't want the Madden CPU as the Seahawks GM. Maybe I changed my mind pretty quick. The Cardinals go with a tackle. Jets go with a defensive end. That guy looks horrendous. Might be a 70 overall. The Saints also go with a defensive end. That guy looks slightly better. And I thought we were going to have 3 defensive end picks. The Panthers go with a corner who looked pretty good. I don't know if there was a good pick in there. I'm going to be honest. Maybe the tackle. Corner might have been good. All right, the Patriots got a good safety. The Cardinals tackle's good, but Offord is worse than Can. That really surprises me. I guess Can is just stronger. He's a speed rusher with 85 strength. No dev trait, but he's an athlete, and that's about it. Huh. But I mean, this corner's really good. This looks like a better class than last year. Maybe. Oh, I thought that said 78 overall free safety in the 7th round. No fullback. Okay. I never really see fullbacks get drafted. Wow, really not many value picks here. There were a couple good 2nd rounders. There was a good 5th round receiver, but for the most part, it was the 1st round picks at the top of the board, and I guess the fullback. Let me see. What the best draft this year, though? Probably the Vikings. Good running back. Okay, wait. Maybe I take that back. Huh? You took 2 23-year-old running backs, which if there's any position you probably don't want to take a 23-year-old, it's running back. I mean, their cutoff is probably about 28. I mean, for a power back, that's probably fine, but for an elusive back, like this pick's fine. What did they do here? Why? I still might call this the best one because they got a good guard round 3. Can't say I would sign off on that 2nd round pick, though. Browns did pretty well. Didn't get anyone too amazing, though. I don't know if there was a best draft enough this year. Maybe the Chargers. I'll just say the Chargers and call it a day. That was pretty good. But all right, heading into year 5, about halfway through this thing, the Rams, just in, I guess, 2 seasons, went from the lowest overall team, tied for it, to now a 90 overall, tied as the highest with, you guessed it, the Kansas City Chiefs. Still, the more things change, the more they stay the same, I guess. But who's the lowest? Oh, there are a lot of 84s. I think that's the lowest. I didn't see an 83, unless I'm blind, possibly. But the Saints, still, the Raiders, Dolphins, even with Cooper DeJean, the Commanders, the Chargers, and the Browns, all are only 84 overall teams. I'm pretty sure all of them have made the playoffs at least once here, or multiple times. Did the Raiders? I think they did. Did they last year? I don't know. I already don't remember. So we'll have to see how these teams do. I'm sure the Rams will miss the playoffs because they have a good roster, and all those teams I listed as the worst will probably make the playoffs, knowing Madden. Will we see a 4th 8-9 season for the Seahawks? Let's find out. I feel like it has to be different this year, right? With Aiden Hutchinson, surely. I promise you I am not forcing this. What is happening? We will never escape 8-9. We started 1-5. All right. Whoa. Did that say 42-3? Who was that? The Bills? All right. And guess what? We lost the last 2 games, or we won the last 2 games of the year. I wish we lost them. We at least would have had a good pick. I don't know why I'm saying we're not controlling the Seahawks, but whatever. But in the playoffs this year, hold on. Okay, no, the Rams are in the playoffs. I was gonna say, did I just have the call of the century? The Bengals and Commanders, one of the lowest overall teams, are the 2 1 seeds. But let's see, out of the lowest overall teams, the Saints, oh, I guess that was it, right? For 84s. Who were the others? The Chargers. The Titans weren't. I think they were an 85. Okay, yeah, I think only 2 of the lowest overall teams made the playoffs, but that's probably too many. Or no, I guess 3 if you count the Commanders. Still, that's too many. But all right, will we have a new best player from the 2024 class this year? Josh Allen wins another MVP. Can we get a different QB winning MVP? But Caleb at number 5 looks like he's become the best QB from that class. Daniels at 10 though, no more Knicks. He kind of fell off. Kyle Phillips up there for Offensive Player of the Year. Rashee Rice wins another one. Deebo Samuel in 2028 or whatever it is wins Offensive Player of the Year. Caleb at 5. Daniels at 9. But AFC Defensive Player of the Year goes to Max Crosby for the 3rd time now. 2024 players, Jalen Carleys. That's not who I expected, but sure. And then NFC, Aiden Hutchinson wins Defensive Player of the Year. All that to go 8-9 and miss the playoffs for the 4th year in a row. Dallas Turner, really? I don't know that I have ever seen him do well in Madden. I'm not gonna lie to you. These are only in Madden, I'll say that. Those are 2 players I did not expect. So yeah, Dallas Turner, 12.5 sacks, 11 TFLs, and a pick. We might have to give it to a D lineman again. Braden Fisk, 10 sacks and 15 TFLs though. He was really good. Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, 4 picks. It looks like maybe DeJean did better just against the run, I guess, but also he only had 1 pass breakup. I guess Mitchell only had 3 though. But okay, Carleys was pretty good, or Carleys? Is it Carleys? I can't remember how you say that. But 117 tackles, 5 TFLs, 3.5 sacks, 3 picks, 7 pass deflections. That's pretty good. He's up to an 86 here. He was up there for Defensive Rookie of the Year 1 year, in the 1st year, I guess. This is a tough call. Dallas Turner was ranked higher for Defensive Player of the Year, though, but they were in different groups, one AFC, one NFC. Dallas Turner did win Best Linebacker, though. Carleys was all the way down at 7. It's definitely biased towards edge rushers, though. I think I'm still gonna give it to Dallas Turner. For Offensive Player, I think it's pretty clear-cut, pretty easy. Caleb Williams, he was up there for MVP. He was, what, 5? Yeah. Daniels did well, too, at number 10, but Caleb Williams, Dallas Turner, will set it. Finally, both of these QBs are starting to do well. But you gotta keep in mind, they're in contract years. Also, we had 2 losing record teams in the playoffs, the Giants and Vikings at 8-9. The Saints go 9-8. Only one 9-8 team, surprisingly, but 2 8-9s is even worse. I didn't even check the records of those teams, to be fair, before I checked the playoffs. That's something. I mean, I did for a second, but I didn't notice the 2 8-9 teams. But the worst teams this year were the Lions and Buccaneers, 2 teams that have been in the Super Bowl here. Buccaneers winning one of them. I'm sure they're both both great overalls, yet they perform as the two worst teams. What happened? They're like, let me see, what are their overalls? The Lions are still an 86, which isn't great anymore, to be fair, but the Bucks are an 87. I guess not much of a difference between the overalls, but a one overall difference is a bigger difference here than it is in real life. The team overalls are pretty close here, but let's see who wins the Super Bowl this year. Let me try to call it, even though I know I'll be wrong. I will call Ravens versus Rams. We'll see if that happens. Ooh, I was pretty close. The Rams do win the Super Bowl 38-24 over the Colts. That's not what I would have expected. So we've had a new Super Bowl winner every year. We've had a couple repeat teams in the Super Bowl. Actually, wait, have we? No, I guess we haven't had any repeat teams. I thought we had the Colts one other time. I guess not. So two different teams in the Super Bowl every year. If there is one thing I will give Madden 25, at least, like I said earlier, it isn't Cowboys Chiefs in every Super Bowl like it was in Madden 24. I think it's a little bit too weird now, too random, but I guess it's more interesting than Cowboys Chiefs every year. But all right, this is the big free agent class, I think. Lots of teams are gonna lose their 2025 or 2024 redrafted first round picks because they don't know how to manage cap. So let's see what happens. We'll see who signs where. Okay, interesting stuff. The Saints signed Dexter Lawrence, who's a 99 overall here. Marvin Harrison Jr. goes to the recent Super Bowl champion Bucks. Trey Smith to the Vikings, Mason Graham to the Raiders. Chop Robinson goes back to his original team, the Dolphins, but he was never on them in this world. Romeo Doubs to the Raiders. Walter Nolan to the Cowboys. Let's see, any other 2024 players? Jalen Coker to the Browns. Still only normal dev here, but he's developed a little bit. Not as many 2024 players as I expected. Tareeb Still to the Commanders, but he hasn't really developed much. Tony Adams has X Factor. Okay. Ricky Pearsall to the Raiders. Yeah, not a whole lot. What is weird, though, is there were some really good linemen here, but they didn't get signed. Jordan Mailata, Quentin Nelson, Kenneth Grant at defensive tackle, Brian O'Neill. Again, speaking of John Schneider, maybe Madden wouldn't be an upgrade over him. Jordan Morgan's sitting as a free agent. Christian Mahogany, there's a couple of the 2024 players. Did I go to the final week? Yeah, so they just didn't sign. Also, the Seahawks didn't sign a single player for some reason. Weird. But yeah, the Lions somehow with the #1 overall pick here. Do they still have Jared Goff? No, they have Jeff Noble, a superstar dev QB. Oh, he didn't play though. Did Goff retire? I don't know if Goff would have been old enough to retire. I don't know who their QB was, but okay, I understand. I mean, the rest of their team is really good, but wow, the rest of their team is really good still. Quarterback and running back, they're definitely lacking. I mean, I'm sure this O-line would help those two, but not enough apparently. But they go guard. I mean, you can never have too many linemen in my opinion, but all right. The Bucks go with the QB, but I mean, maybe that superstar dev QB will be good for the Lions. The Patriots still have not been even decent here. They go with a pass rusher. The Raiders go right tackle, and the Browns go defensive end. We'll see if those teams made good choices. Well, this guard is at least good for the Lions. This QB is not great for the Buccaneers. I wonder where Baker went. I saw he was a free agent. I kind of just glossed over it for some reason. He went to the Cowboys. Okay. They still have Dak on a super cheap deal. Both of these guys are. Sure, that's something. But as per usual, the best player in the class was a safety, Luke Akins, to the Cardinals. That's unlucky for us as the Seahawks, kind of. But there was a massive dip in talent after that. I still cannot believe that first draft class. I almost felt like that was a glitch or something. It looked like a strong draft class. This is what I expected. That might have been the strongest normal draft class of all time. I don't know. But all right, heading into year 6, the highest overall team now is the New York Jets at a 91. The Jets are unfortunately one of my least favorite teams, but you know what? It's very fun to see them here. I'm very happy this has played out that way. I mean, it makes sense. They get Brock Bowers. We've had the massive breakout of Leonard Taylor, which I think could happen. I, again, was a big Leonard Taylor believer. Believer. I think Madden has him as like a 65 overall still or something. I have him as like a 72 and a starter. So I guess it makes sense, but I didn't expect it. But yeah, the Jets are the highest. That's cool. Who's the lowest? I saw an 84. I think it was the Panthers. I would guess that's the team. It is the Carolina Panthers. Things have not been going very well for them. Now, they've kind of outperformed their overall, but not by a whole lot. So yeah, clear cut. I think this is the first time we've we've had one team as the highest and one team as the lowest. I don't really get how with the Panthers. They have some pretty good players. Bryce Young's a 90. Sebastian Castro has worked out here, it looks like. I'm a big fan of him. I'm sure I'll soon understand in a second. Keon Coleman is really developed, but he's kind of the only receiver they have. Their O-line is not great other than right tackle. Okay, I'm starting to understand. But they signed Braden Fisk last year. I don't know. Kind of weird. I think they'll do better than their overall. Because overall on the offensive line especially doesn't mean anything. For God knows what reason. But all right, year 6, right? I think I'm counting right. Officially in the second half of this, can the Seahawks escape 8-9? And who will be the best and worst teams this year? Let's find out. Okay, well, I guess the Seahawks escaped 6-11, or escaped 8-9. They went 6-11. You know what? That's probably better than going 8-9. Speaking of 8-9, the 8-9 Panthers in the playoffs. With how many 8-9 teams have made the playoffs here, why can't it be the Seahawks? Also, did I say Panthers? I meant Jags. The Jags made the playoffs at 8-9, but the Raiders and Steelers didn't get a first-round bye in the AFC at 13-4. Neither did the Rams and Falcons. What happened? The Chiefs and 49ers get the 1 seeds. The simulation is... what is it based off of? Is it just completely random? I know it's based off playbooks mostly, but other than that, it feels kind of random, which... a little randomness is fine, but I don't feel like it's based off of anything. I can't figure it out if it is. Kinda some new teams in the playoffs here. Is this the first time the Bears have made the playoffs? Or did they make it last year? It's getting hard to remember. The Panthers made it though. The Jets were only the 3 seed for the AFC. The Ravens were only the 7 seed. They were a 90. Oh yeah, also I called it. The Panthers made the playoffs as the lowest overall team in the league. Overall means nothing. But all right, let's check out yearly awards. Nate Rouse for the Rams wins MVP. Their new quarterback, I guess. But he beats out Jaden Daniels at number 2. No Caleb this year, just Jaden Daniels up here, so I guess he probably passed him back this year. I think number 2 for MVP was enough for me to say he's done better so far. Dontavian Wicks on the Titans up here for offensive. The receivers that do well in this game. Speaking of positions where overall doesn't matter, what the hell? The amount of times I've just seen like wide receiver 4s or free agents in real life at receiver win or come very close to winning offensive player of the year. It's wild. But Ricky Pearsall at 5 on the Raiders now at number 5. Did I say number 5 twice? I don't know. I think I did. But NFC goes to Brandon Ayuk, the 88 overall rookie running back. Not a rookie anymore, but Luke Price at number 2. Jaden Daniels at 4 though. McConkey at 10 now on the Rams. And defensive player of the year goes to Max Crosby for the 4th time. Jared Verse at number 4. That's cool. But nobody up there for NFC defensive player of the year. So I think once again, the offensive player of the year this year is pretty clear cut. Jaden Daniels. I mean, it seems like Ladd McConkey did very well again. Yeah, 1,200 yards, 15 touchdowns, but I definitely think Daniels did better. Also, what happened to Bucky Irving? He kind of fell off, unfortunately. Never really produced that well. Yeah, been sticking around like 4.1 yards per carry. He's a 99 overall, but only getting like 4.2-ish yards per carry. Never even gotten past 1,100 yards, or I guess technically, but never gotten to 1,200 yards or more, at least rushing. And for the first time, it seems like on defense, pretty easy decision. Jared Verse, 15 sacks, 12 TFLs. Let me check the pick numbers just to be sure. I mean, Quinyon Mitchell, 5 picks, but I think positional value, 15 sacks. We got to be biased here, probably. Carly's a good year again. 7 picks for Tremaine Edmonds. All right. Peyton Wilson had a good year, but I will give this one to Jared Verse, I think. But year 6, who's going to win the Super Bowl? I'm not even going to try to predict it. I mean, my prediction was close last year. I got one of the teams. Just the 1 seeds, Chiefs, 49ers. The Chiefs win 35-27. We unfortunately do have a Chiefs Super Bowl win. A 5th Chiefs Super Bowl win has struck the towers. Okay, we're getting to serious levels of teams being broke. Micah Parsons goes unsigned in free agency, only asking $35 million a year. 6 years in the future? That's probably half of what edge rushers are going to get paid a year at this point. Dexter Lawrence, Cam Ward, Tyler Booker up to a 91 overall. These teams can't figure out, oh, hey, let's release a player and let's get a massive upgrade. What are we doing? There have to be some... Why would the Titans not sign him? Who are their edge rushers? They signed George Karlaftis, who's playing 3-4 defensive end. They have this Steven Rush guy. I don't think they have a left outside linebacker on the roster. Or no, they have Shamar James. Okay. I don't know why these players are going unsigned. Like, they had the money. Well, either way, the Giants signed Leo Chenal, the Dolphins signed Shador Sanders, the Cowboys signed Armand Membu and Mykel Williams. Pickens and Abdul Carter go to the Patriots, but I don't see any 2024 players. Okay, here's one. Renardo Green goes to the Dolphins, and Mason McCormick goes to the Panthers, but really not much. Weird free agency, though. I might have to check who signs those leftover players, if I remember. But all right, the Patriots have the #1 pick here. Big surprise. They cannot get out of the gutter. They need to do something. I almost feel like helping them here. Should I? I feel like just simulating is what I'm going to title this, so I don't think I'll do it for them, but I kind of want to. This team isn't even bad anymore, though. Like, what happened? This team is really, really good, actually. I would guess it's just a playbook issue then, the main thing that matters in Madden, but they go with a receiver? Not that you should just pick for need or anything, but I mean, yeah, they could definitely use him. I feel like they had bigger issues on the roster, but if he's good, then sure, and he looked really good, so sure. That's a good pick, probably. The Cardinals go QB. I know I said this before, but they are one of the most surprising teams so far. Why do they have 2 fullbacks? I don't know. But I thought they would be great. They really haven't added anything to this roster. This is kind of what they gave, or what we gave them, and that's about it. I guess they added a few pieces, but yeah, this roster isn't horrible. But see, like, why keep Budda Baker now at a 77 overall, 78, which is probably like a 72 for real life? Why not release him and save 13.5 mil in cap? Like, why does the CPU not have that logic? Same for Marshawn Lattimore. That would save 15 mil. It looks like they tagged him at a 79 overall, 34-year-old. This game is so cooked, man. It's kind of like a zoo exhibit or something. It's entertaining to see what happens in that kind of way. But the Lions go defensive end. Guy looks all right. The Bucks go also defensive end, and the Chargers go left tackle. Ooh, that guy has some good ratings. He might be good. Ooh, first Seahawks actual good draft. They got a 76 and a 77. I'm used to seeing like 72s as the best players. Wait, what? Didn't they draft Jackson Dart, or am I misremembering? What happened with Jackson Dart? Oh, he's still here. Has he gotten an opportunity? No. So they spent a second-round pick on him. They haven't made the playoffs once, yet they're still sticking with Sam Darnold. I mean, he hasn't necessarily been the problem, but if you're being this bad for this long, I think you try something else. But yeah, Andrew Knight, 80 overall, and an 80 overall QB to the Cardinals. Not even going to start this first year. They still have Kyler, but Kyler is horrible in Madden, so he'll probably be a starter soon. This Beck guy is fine. This Hanks guy is not great, but Johnston, he's good. This was a good top 10. There were some really good players this year. Definitely better than the last few classes we've seen. Definitely not as good as the first one, but better than the last few. What was that name? Tyreek Vic. Interesting. That's 2 abuser names. I mean, spelled wrong, but at least the first name was. 2 great people there. But all right, heading into year 7 here. Still no clear best player, I would say. But let's see what the best team is at this point. The Lions are a 91 and the Jets still. 2 teams that have been, at least about 7 years ago for the Lions, they were pretty horrible, and the Jets have been pretty horrible, so not teams with the best recent-ish history here, but they're doing very well. But who's the worst team on paper? I don't see any 84s, so it looks like it is a tie. Again, the Chargers, the Browns, I feel like they've been one of the worst every single year. Has not changed. But also the Steelers now, they're one of the worst, which makes sense. I mean, just looking at the players on that screen, the 3 in the middle are getting older at this point for sure. All on the wrong side of 30, I would guess. Pretty comfortably. Wait, how old are Minka and DK? Like 34? Oh, Highsmith is even older. He's 33, DK's 32, Minka's 33. So they might, at least, you know, in terms of roster talent, they're in a tough spot. I don't think they'll do poorly, but maybe. But let's see what happens in year 7. Will one of these players finally cement themselves as the best on either side of the ball? We'll see. All right, this might be one of the weirdest things in Madden, and that's insane to say about Madden. I don't think I've had the same record 6 years in a row before. We go 8 and 9. I'm not forcing it. I mean, it would be a really weird thing to force, but I'm not forcing it. This team cannot escape 8 and 9. Oh no, I forgot. We did go 6 and 11 last year, thankfully. But we're right back to 8 and 9. I say thankfully, like it's a good thing we were worse, but I thought we would get worse to get better, have a higher draft pick, kind of move on from some of the deals, but we apparently went with the Saints strategy of, yeah, we were bad, but let's just keep the players that made us bad, and let's like add a little bit so we go about the same instead of just rebuilding to be good in the future. Okay, man. Holy shit. We had 7, 9, and 8 teams in the playoffs. I think the most since 17 game schedules have been a thing is 2 in real life, not in Madden. But wow, can I delete this year? Brock Purdy won MVP, beating out Jaden Daniels. Can we get a Jaden Daniels MVP? I would say by this point, I think Jaden Daniels, after these past 2 years, getting cucked for MVP twice, I think he's been the best. Took him a while to get here, but I think he is here. Also, I almost missed Drake May at number 5. That's cool. I haven't seen him at all, so I kind of forgot that he was included in this for some reason. But he takes AFC Offensive Player of the Year. Wrong class. But I mean, Ashton Genty was up here for whatever that's worth. Ricky Pearsall, ever since the Raiders signed him, he's been a monster apparently. I don't know. But let's see, Daniels at 7 for NFC Offensive Player of the Year. McConkey at 8. AFC, Max Crosby for I don't even know how many times it's been now. But Aiden Hutchinson for the Seahawks wins Defensive Player of the Year. Again, all that to just go 8 and 9. Now I think their offense is kind of an issue, but Mike Hall at number 5. That's cool. Did I miss anyone? I feel like I missed someone. I don't know why. No, I guess not. So Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, it's close. Number 2 and number 5. It was probably Daniels, but let me see how May did. Okay, yeah, I think it was Daniels. Pretty, not necessarily comfortably, but I mean, had 12 more passing touchdowns. Same amount of picks. May had a 2 better completion percentage, but I would guess Daniels outrushed him. Yeah, 440 rushing yards this year. Or no, May outrushed him. 580 and 8 touchdowns. Ooh. Okay, that makes it a little more interesting. Although, May did just take off a lot more. Daniels had 8 yards per carry more. Not 8 yards per carry more. Had 0.8 yards per carry more. So I still think it was Daniels. Probably. How about any of the receivers? Michael Wilson, 1,200 yards? Why him and not Malik Neighbors? I mean, Michael Wilson's cool. He's underrated, but like, why? Almost 1,200 yards for McConkey, 15 touchdowns. He's really only been the good receiver. Really been the only good receiver. Him and Pearsall. True white boy summer out here. Brian Thomas had 1,000 yards. Where wasn't Pearsall up there? Where is he? Am I blind? Oh, is he just not showing up because this game sucks? No, he had barely over 1,000 yards, 13 touchdowns. Okay. See, this is why I actually look at the stats instead of going off of like the award voting. Myles Garrett breaks the sack record. That has been broken here, but this would break real life. But let's see. Leonard Taylor, 9.5 sacks. Johnny Newton, 9.5 sacks, but less TFLs, so still would probably give it to Taylor, at least statistically. Oh, Jonah Ellis. Didn't even think about him. He had 9 sacks. But really, where is... we're only looking at AFC. But no, I mean, Jared Verse was on the Colts. He's in the AFC. Did we have the classic random down year? 5 sacks. All right, yeah. Let's see. Mike Hall, 13 sacks, 14 TFLs. Braden Fisk, he's been... I don't know how he doesn't have superstar, but he's been so... I was going to say steady for 10 sacks a year, but he's only hit it 3 times? Well, I feel like I've seen him up here every single time. That's weird. I thought I was going to see 10 sacks for every season except like 1, but only 3 times. That messes with my brain. But let's see. Mikey Sainer still 5 picks. Edgerrin Cooper. I feel like I got to give him a Defensive Player of the Year. He's been so good too. Look at his interception numbers as a linebacker. I don't know if I'm going to give it to him this year. I think I am just going to go Mike Hall, but Sainer still 2. I feel like I've only seen him up here a couple times, but he's had a couple good years, at least in terms of picks. He's had a good amount of pass deflections for Madden, at least. This is such an interesting experiment. I get to talk about players I never do, really. But all right, I think we're counting pretty easy. Jaden Daniels, best offensive player this year. Mike Hall looks like he was the best defensive player. But okay, we have another different Super Bowl. We have not had one repeat winner. For the most part, we haven't had any repeat teams make it. I think the only one is the Chiefs, unless I'm missing someone. But the Commanders with Caleb Williams get a Super Bowl win over the Jets. You know, at least who was tied for the highest overall team made the Super Bowl. That's rare. Not that rare, but probably rarer than it should be. But all that to lose to the Commanders. Unlucky. Well, I guess lucky for me. I think it's interesting that Caleb won a Super Bowl on the Commanders. Is he up to he's playing up to a 99 now. At a 97. I'm kind of surprised because usually he does not do that well in Madden. I guess by Madden standards, he really hasn't done that well, but for real life, these would be really good numbers. receivers, obviously. But for Madden, this was probably like mid to maybe even below average other than this year right here, which is wild. Okay, maybe this is cheating, but I think I'm gonna help out the Seahawks a little bit. Why are we keeping 33-year-old Julian Love when we could release him and save 15 mil? Like, he's still been productive, but I don't think he's worth what they're paying him at 33. It just hurts me physically to see stuff like this. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird for that, but like, they tagged DK Metcalf at a 79 overall. Why? He's not even that productive anymore. He's put up some insane numbers, but not really anymore. I don't think I can release him though. But all right, let's see what these teams do in free agency. Watch the Seahawks bring him back on the same contract somehow. Julian Love, I mean. Okay, I do at least see Terry and Arnold on the Falcons, but similar to last year, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen don't get signed. What are we doing, man? Micah Parsons goes to the Browns to replace Myles Garrett, who retired this year. Sauce Gardner on the Falcons now. Cam Ward to the Bills. Trey McCray, that's an awesome name. An X-Factor left tackle. That's rare. I mean, they shouldn't have that, but they do sometimes show up. But yeah, I meant to shout out Kalen Bullock. He goes to the Eagles. Terry and Arnold, like I said, to the Falcons. Anyone else? JC Latham back to the Titans. We've only had that happen twice. Him and Chop back to the Dolphins. Oh, here's a third time. Mikey Sainristil back to the Commanders. That's weird. Cole Bishop to the Raiders. I don't think I put him on a new team. I think I just kept him as like a 3rd or 4th round pick. Just didn't move him. Zach Zinter, same deal, but he goes to the Bears. How about the running backs? Whatever happened with, like, I don't know, Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson? Are they still around? They'd probably be older at this point for running backs. Isaiah Davis down to a 66. I think I need to lower running back regression a little bit. I thought I already had it pretty low, but damn. But Trey Benson still on the Cardinals. Is he their starter? Oh yeah, he's doing pretty well, getting about 4.24 per carry. Has had 3 1,000 yard rushing 1,000 yard rushing seasons. I wanted to say the word receiving in there for some reason. I don't know why. I need a nap. Oh, it looks like Jonathan Brooks might be the starter for the Ravens. He is. He sucks, but well, he had 1 4.5 yard per carry, 14 touchdown season. Didn't hit 1,000 yards, but was worse this past year. Yeah, not really anything from the running backs. Even Bucky Irving has been mid. Like, unless you're already an established NFL player, like from 2 or 3 years ago, you don't do well in Madden for some reason, at least at running back. But I think that's it for the running backs that are still around from the class. But all right, in the draft, are the Patriots better this year? They are. Oh yeah, were they in the playoffs? Is 21 a playoff seed? Yeah, I think it is. I think 19 and on is playoffs, right? I think they were one of the 9 and 8 teams. But the Titans back at pick 1, Saints back up there, Texans back up there. We're right back where we started for the most part. It's come full circle, other than a Commanders-Jets Super Bowl. I don't know about that one, but some of the bad teams back at the top. The Titans go with, does that say left tackle? I'm blind as hell. That dude looks amazing based off his ratings. The Saints go receiver. That dude also looks amazing based off his ratings. Texans also go left tackle. That dude looks amazing based off his ratings. We'll see. Raiders go right tackle. That dude looks maybe good. And the Bengals go QB. I don't know if that dude looks good. If he has like elite throw power or speed or something, maybe. So no more Joe Burrow for the Bengals. Do they still have anyone from the 24 class? Let me see. They still have Troy Fautanu. He has been not great even by Madden standards. He had a few solid years, but some really bad ones. I think he's the only one they have. Was Jordan Battle 20? No, he was 23. But all right, we'll see what these teams do in the draft. Another amazing Seahawks draft. A 73 is your best player in 271s. But Alex Franklin to the Titans, 78 overall, 79 receiver to the Saints. Ooh, Spencer Dobson would have fooled me. Those were a lot of potential A ratings. To be fair, I wouldn't have taken him without focus scouting him. Oh, he's a straight up bad pass blocker. That's great to pick at number 3 overall. It's like the Panthers picking Ike Ekwonu at 4 or wherever they did. But Malik Hillman, not great. And speaking of not great, Rashad Harris, 70 overall QB to the Bengals. I see a better option immediately. Mike Dempsey. There was a 78 overall QB who went in round 2. Austin Morgan to the Colts. I don't even know if they need him or if he's just going to be a backup, but we'll see. I was going to say, was this a bad QB class? But not really. Quentin Stewart to the Cowboys, 75. Cowboys or the Bengals just suck at drafting. I don't know. But I didn't see any 80 overalls in this class. Yeah, not one 80 plus. Quick fall off in terms of talent. This was a horrible class. There's a lot of mid players. There are a lot of like 75s and 6s, but Not much top-end talent. 3 players I would consider great, definitely not in the elite category. I'd say 3 great ones and then good amount of good ones, but yeah, it was not a good class. But heading into year 8, I think it is, the Washington Commanders are now the highest overall team at a 90. Surprisingly, I said that really weird. I bit my tongue halfway through saying that. That hurt. Surprisingly, being one of the teams that get kinda screwed losing Jaden Daniels, I feel like it's gone pretty well for them. But let's see, who's the lowest overall? It is the San Francisco 49ers at only an 84. Looks like D Winners has developed up to a 90, but apparently not really anyone else. They do have 5 X Factors, but it hasn't resulted in a good team. The Giants have 9 X Factors? Wait, I'm curious, who has the most? That's kind of wild. That might be the most by a lot. It is. The Packers have 7, I think that's second. The Giants were cooking there, and they still couldn't even get to a Super Bowl. We'll see if they can soon, though. But once again, we have a for sure best team and a for sure worst team on paper. So I'm sure the Commanders are gonna go 9-8, and the 49ers are also gonna go 9-8 and make the playoffs. Also, finally, the Seahawks are gonna be starting Jackson Dart. Took them long enough, but they're finally gonna do it. We'll see how he does. Maybe they can escape 8-9, finally. Once again, the Seahawks escape 8-9 to go 6-11. This team is cursed. They have not made the playoffs once. Please tear it down. Restart. It ain't working. Give it up. Yep, good call though. The 49ers did make the playoffs. And I mean, I predicted both them and the Commanders to have the same record. I thought they would both go 9-8. They both went 12-5 though. But the Panthers and Broncos were the 2 1 seeds. I would be down for a Super Bowl 40 or Super Bowl 50 rematch. That would be cool. But finally, Jaden Daniels wins MVP. With Drake May at number 3, things are finally clicking completely for this class. Caleb at 6, Michael Penix at 10, but no Bo Nix. Also, wait, have we seen JJ McCarthy once? He's usually like the quarterback that does best from this class. Maybe not best, but I mean, sometimes he does. He can win MVPs. Have we seen him and I'm just forgetting or what? He's been really good. Have I just been like ignoring him? Maybe. Hopefully not. But yeah, he's been pretty good. How have I not noticed him? Am I having a like, I woke up an hour ago moment and I have been talking about him, I just don't remember? I don't know. But Jaden Daniels wins MVP, pretty clear-cut best offensive player this year. I feel like I've said clear-cut solid 6 times in this video. I never say that. But Drake May, number 2 for AFC Offensive Player of the Year. Surprisingly, oh, Jaden Daniels is MVP, or good lord. Jaden Daniels is NFC. Yeah, that'll do it. But he was all the way down at 5. I don't know why the Vikings signed Joe Burrow if they, like Madden always does that kind of thing. We have a good QB, so let's sign another one. But how about defense? Max Crosby wins AFC Defensive Player of the Year for like the 6th time, it feels like. Chop Robinson at 5, but NFC Defensive Player of the Year goes to Leo Chenal on the Giants. And Tyke Smith at number 9. I know I said this before, but I'm really surprised at the lack of receivers from the 2024 class. That was kind of like, I mean, it was QB and receiver that were very strong, looked very good as rookies, but you know, Brian Thomas Jr.'s been pretty good, and Ladd McConkey had a few really good years, but not much else. Xavier Legette hit 1,000 yards this year. McConkey did hit 1,000, but I think that's it. Oh, Pearsall barely did. Neighbors 950, Coker 950, Bowers 930. That's good for a tight end at least. His best year so far. Leo Chenal had 10 sacks? What? Okay, sure. But let's see. Chop Robinson, 10 sacks, 17 TFLs, and a pick. Braden Fisk, 9.5 sacks, 15 TFLs. I guess statistically, Robinson did better, but Fisk was maybe more impressive, getting 9.5 sacks as a defensive tackle, 9 for Mike Hall, but 6 picks for Tyke Smith. I think I'll give it to Tyke Smith this year. 10 sacks isn't insane. Did get 17 TFLs and a pick, though. Bro needs to give his hair up, unfortunately. And I normally hate people that say shit like that, but I think I'll give him the best defensive player for this year. Maybe that's controversial, but I think 6 picks is more impressive statistically than 10 sacks. But I feel like I've given other players in the past last, the nod for a 10 sack season over a 6 pick season. Whatever, I'll give it to Tyke Smith. He's been deserving. Oh yeah, also I found a Tyke Smith rookie autograph card I didn't know I had today. And a 1/1 Sincere McCormick rookie auto. But all right, we got some interesting playoffs here. Some interesting playoffs. Lots of 10 and 7 teams. Took the place of 9 and 8 teams. 9, 10 and 7 teams in the playoffs. So let's get to the Super Bowl and we'll see what happens. Probably gonna be the 49ers, but they never really make the Super Bowl. It's gonna be Panthers, Chargers. We're never gonna get the same Super Bowl or even the same winner twice in this rebuild. Who wins this one? I'm gonna guess the Panthers just because it's weird. Maybe not though. It is the Panthers, 28-20. Chris Paul Jr. was Super Bowl MVP. That's cool. But still, no repeat winners. Bills, Bucks, Packers, Cowboys, Rams, Chiefs, Commanders, and Panthers. Will we see one by the end of this? We'll find out. Looks like Mahomes went to the Chiefs and the Steelers and Malachi Starks. The Raiders signed Xavier Worthy and Nolan Smith, so if they still have Ricky Pearsall, they have 2 2024 receivers. Joe Burrow doesn't even get signed this year. I know he will at some point, but Patrick Mahomes goes to the Steelers, Derek Stingley to the Bucks, Xavier Worthy up to a 91. I'm surprised he hasn't produced better. Goes to the Raiders, Josh Allen to the Chiefs, Nolan Smith to the Raiders, Starks to the Steelers. Let's see, Garrett Wilson to the Browns, Justin Fields to the Titans. I honestly thought that's what was going to happen this offseason. Let's see, anyone else from this year's class or last year's? Kieran Amagaji, I guess. But in the draft, the Jags have the #1 pick. Have they had one yet? I don't know. It's been the Patriots so many times. Where were they at? 13 this year? But let's see, the Jags go with a QB. What happened to Trevor Lawrence? Oh, they still have him. They're just done with him, I guess. He usually does pretty well in Madden. He's been pretty good here. Again, by Madden standards. They have Johnny Newton now. That's cool. Still have Roma Dunze. Maybe with a new QB, they'll do better if that guy's good. Steelers go defensive end. Don't know if that guy looks great. It's hard to tell from just those ratings, though. But the Cardinals go tackle. The Eagles go receiver, which, by the way, the Eagles were up here. I've been forgetting to look, but I guess we find out who the worst teams were in the draft. And then finally, the Seahawks. I think this is the first time they've had a top 5 pick. They go with a pass rusher, it looks like. Looks pretty good based off those ratings. We'll see. Not that good. They got a good guard round 3. Ooh, okay. This might have been a horrible draft class. Who was the first 76 overall? There was an 81 overall middle linebacker to the Jets at 20. Hold on. We're getting new, firsts here. This is the worst top 10 I have ever seen in a Madden draft. Easily. The best players were 375 overalls, and that's it. The #1 pick was a 74 with normal dev. I think the Jags are going to be picking at #1 again. Well, I mean, they should be at least, if this was realistic, but it's Madden, so it's not. They'll probably win the Super Bowl because they drafted a bad backup QB. He's legitimately probably bad at this point. Yeah, he's ranked 62. Barely second string caliber. That's wild. I still feel like helping the Seahawks. Is there anything I can do? Is there anyone I can release? I'll say the most I can mess with this team is releasing players, but I don't see anyone. Maybe Jordan Birch, but that wouldn't save that much. He's just worth keeping. Poor Seahawks, man. But all right, coming down to the end here, second to last season, who is the highest overall? We might have a big tie this year. I think we do. No, it is the Bills at a 91. It looks like they signed Joe Burrow as a backup QB. Okay, they have Cam Ward and Joe Burrow now, a 95 and a 94. So I guess that didn't help their overall. I don't know what did, but they are the new highest overall team. They still haven't won a Super Bowl though, have they? They usually do. Oh no, they did. Year 1 against the Lions. That's right. So they could repeat here. I wouldn't be shocked, but I think the lowest is the Packers, right? Yeah, at an 84. That's really, really rough for this point. What happened with them? Because they have Jonathan Bullard, Javon Bullard. Jonathan Bullard's the D lineman, right? Javon Bullard? I'm forgetting his name. Yeah, sure, Javon Bullard, I think, and Edgerrin Cooper. What has happened for the Packers? Because I feel like they've been the worst a few times, right? I think that's all they have in terms of 2024 draft players, it looks like. Okay, I found the issue. What is this? TJ Johnson is their #1 receiver at a 73 overall. It's kind of funny how, like I said earlier, the more things change, the more things stay the same. Packers still ignoring receiver in the year 2032 here. Even more than real life, though. They have completely ignored it. Their #1 receiver is ranked 152. This might be the worst position group I have ever seen in Madden. That is sixth string or something like that. That is like, I don't know, Braxton Berrios being your number one receiver. I don't know why that's the name that came to mind. That's like Steven Sims being your number one receiver. Isn't there like a Steven Sims Glaze account on Instagram? I feel like there is. This is a wild roster. I was like, wow, they have some pretty decent players. Even they have some decent players, but like their corner group, they have Revel, but that's about it. This is a spectacle here. This team's gonna make the playoffs. Watch. I'm calling it. Okay, finally, the Seahawks do make the playoffs here. They go 12-5 with an 89 overall team. Took them forever, almost a full decade, but they finally got here. Do they still have Jackson Dart? I think they do. I didn't see them sign a new QB. Yeah, they do. So I guess that worked out. Shocking, almost like I said they should have done this. Not that he was amazing, but it worked. But the 9-8 teams are back. We had 4 in the playoffs this year. Bring the 10-7s back. At least they deserved it. I don't know why I went to retire to check overalls. I meant to go to playoffs. I want to see who the other 1 seed is. It's gonna be the Raiders. The Raiders and Seahawks are the 1 seeds. I can almost promise you those won't be the Super Bowl teams, but I mean, maybe. I do see them in Super Bowls sometimes. It'll probably just be like Panthers Bills is my guess, but who knows. Let's check out yearly awards this year. Lamar wins MVP, Cam Ward at 2, CJ Stroud, Daniels at 4, once again the highest QB, Caleb at 7. The Jags picked a QB at number 1 just for Trevor Lawrence to be number 8 for MVP. All right, well, I guess it lit the fire under him. I don't know. Did the Jags make the playoffs? Wait a minute. I think I saw them. I hate this game, dude. They go from number 1 pick, making a horrible number 1 overall pick, to playoffs by doing like nothing else. That's awesome. But all right, it looks like Jaden Daniels might be the best offensive player again. Unless I see anyone else up here, I don't. AFC, I mean, even Jaden Daniels barely made it. Caleb right behind him, though. I'll still just trust the award decision and probably go Jaden Daniels. But Micah Parsons on the Browns, Defensive Player of the Year, finally not Max Crosby. But no 2024 players. NFC goes to Aiden Hutchinson. Ooh, also no 2024 players. Aiden Hutchinson had 24 sacks this year. Let's see, who had the most sacks from this class, though, from 2024? Leonard Taylor's back. I missed you. Had a kind of down year, but I mean, his career totals legitimately putting up like Aaron Donald numbers. I'm serious. Probably as close to 100 career sacks. Might have to give it to him again. Let's see, Dallas Turner had 8.5, but that's not enough. Chop only 7 this year. How about picks? I don't see anyone with a crazy amount. Kool-Aid McKinstry with 5, though. 5 in 10 pass deflections. That's pretty good. I think he's going to be our pick this year. Really his first, like, great year, but he's had some good ones. He's gotten a lot of pass deflections for Madden. 11? That's, like, one of the most I've ever seen for a corner in Madden. So, yeah, I think we'll give it to him. But, all right, this is going to be our second to last Super Bowl. Can the Seahawks make it and get it done? Let's find out. It is going to be Panthers versus Raiders this year. So the Panthers are the first team to make it to back-to-back Super Bowls, right? Did the Chiefs make it back-to-back? I think they've been in 2. I can't remember if it was back-to-back. But can the Panthers win back-to-back Super Bowls here? Let's find out. They cannot. It is gonna be the Raiders. 34-26. So still, no repeat Super Bowl winners. At this point, I sure hope year 10 has a new winner. Now that I said that, I probably jinxed it, but whatever. But in free agency, ooh, the Seahawks signed a lineman. That's wild. But the Jets signed Nick Bosa. The Jags, what are they doing? What are we doing? Didn't Lamar win MVP? Why did the Ravens not bring him back? And why did the Jags sign him, of all teams, with Trevor Lawrence up there for MVP and just drafting a QB at number 1? See, this is what I was talking about earlier. Teams do this with their QB rooms. I mean, signing Lamar Jackson, whatever, that's fine. That's an upgrade. But of all teams, yeah, all right. The Chiefs signed Burrow, Amon-Ra St. Brown to the Ravens. Anyone from 2024 this year? They're starting to get old at this point, I'm sure. Jaden Hicks goes back to the Chiefs, but that might be it. Tyler Guyton goes to the Bears. I feel like I haven't mentioned him once. I don't even know where he's been. Maybe just on the Cowboys this whole time. He actually has, and he hasn't been that bad for Madden. I mean, these last 2 years he's been pretty terrible, but 6 sacks allowed at left tackle in Madden is really good. He had 7 his rookie year. He's been better than he is when I have him, that's for sure. But all right, our final draft of this rebuild, the Saints have the number 1 pick. The Broncos, who were the 1 seed last year are up here. The poor Patriots and Titans, man. They're both back up here. They cannot escape being a horrible NFL team. But I thought that said middle linebacker. I don't know if that guy looks super great, but I can't tell. The Saints go with a pass rusher. I really have the Chiefs on the mind for some reason. I've been calling every team the Chiefs. That's weird. James Hunt goes to the Patriots. That guy looks really good in the classic white receiver to the Patriots, of course. Dwayne Woodley. That guy looks interesting. Terrell Hayward. That guy looks really good. I mean, he's barely scouted, but Lions might have got a good receiver, and the Titans also go receiver. What are the Packers gonna do? Also, the Packers almost made the playoffs. They were the 17 seed. They have the 17th pick, so that's like 16th for rating. They were perfectly mid with the worst receiving core I have ever seen, and it barely got better this offseason. This might have been some of the biggest drafting malpractice I have ever seen. Did the Seahawks draft a single good player this whole rebuild? They picked a backup QB for this final year. I mean, sure, for the future, but I guess I don't have the logic that this is the last year. Oh, wait, never mind. They let Jackson Dart go. Where did he go? To the Titans. Why did the Seahawks do that? Their first good season, and they let their quarterback go. Okay, sure. I guess they've maybe drafted a few players. I think they drafted Elton Brown, right? Yeah, so they've drafted some pieces, but a lot of these guys they've signed. Did they sign this guy or draft him? They signed him from the Cardinals, so I don't know what they've been doing in the draft, but something. Whoa, okay, there's another really good player. James Hunt, 84 overall. I figured that guy looked pretty good. Wearing number 22. He has 98 speed, 99 jumping. Damn. Not the best route runner I've ever seen, but one of the best athletes I've ever seen. Let me change that number for him. He's also 6'3", 232. This was a much better draft. This was a borderline, like, strong draft class, it looks like. Only 180 plus, but a very high 80. I think this is the second highest overall player we've seen behind the highest overall player I've ever seen. So pretty good draft. But all right, heading into the final season, the Rams are the highest overall team. It looks like they have Peyton Wilson, Ladd McConkey. They have a couple 2024 players. That's cool. I don't think a single time we have seen the highest overall team win the Super Bowl. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so. Which, you know, to be fair, it's not like the best roster in the league every year wins the Super Bowl, but literally just this last year, the Eagles, I would say that was pretty easily the best roster, and they won the Super Bowl convincingly. My question for them was their head coach, but the roster was so good, they still destroyed the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Like, will it happen once here? We'll see. It looks like the Lions might actually be the lowest overall team now, them and the Cardinals at 85s. So, looking like those teams probably won't be winning a Super Bowl here, or at least they shouldn't. I guess you never know. But let's get to the end of this final season, and we'll see which teams are in the playoffs. Can the Seahawks make the playoffs for just the second time? We'll see. Wow, not only do the Seahawks make the playoffs, but we get a first round bye going only 11-6. The NFC was horrible this year for some reason. Like, this might have been the worst conference of all time, with an 11-6 team being the 1 seed. But we got the first round bye having the 22nd offense. Ugh. Oh boy, at least it's only 4, but over half of the NFC went 9-8 for the playoffs. But the 2-1 seeds for the final season are the Seahawks and the Jags, who just picked a 74 overall QB at number 1 overall 2 years ago. They did sign Lamar, but they've had an interesting strategy to get there. I guess it worked, though. But let's see, who was the lowest overall team? Were the Cardinals one of them? The Cardinals and Lions make the playoffs. Was it the Cardinals? I already forgot. Yeah, it was. And they both made the playoffs. The Patriots are up to a 90. Did the Rams make the playoffs? The Rams missed the playoffs. Can we send Madden out to the farm, please? Like, I sure hope someday the NFL realizes how dog shit this game is. Not that they really care because they're getting paid from it, but still. Like, sure, sometimes teams with the best roster, it's hard for them to miss the playoffs, but usually if they get close, it's because of injuries, but we don't have injuries here. But all right, who were the worst teams this season? Also, the best team in the NFL only went 12-5. Look how much mid there was. Everyone was mid because the simulation sucks so much ass. Any team team can truly beat any other team. Just everyone ended up being mid. The true one horrible team were the Bengals at 2-15. 49ers and Texans went 5-12. That's certainly something. But all right, for this final time, let's check out the awards. Let's see who did the best, and we'll finally crown a winner. Why was Quinn Ewers the starter for the Seahawks? Why not just go with the quarterback you drafted in the first if you're gonna let go? Whatever, sure. If that's what you want to do. You got a first round bye somehow, sure. But Nate Rouse for the Rams wins MVP. JJ McCarthy at number 6. I think he was the highest ranked QB this year. Weird. Also, Will Howard is the starter for the Ravens. That's interesting. But I don't see any 2024 players for AFC Player of the Year. Let's see, McCarthy at 5. Might have been the best offensive player this year. It looks like he was. But Defensive Player of the Year, anyone up here? Chop Robinson at 7. NFC, Edgerrin Cooper at 2. Peyton Wilson at 6. Well, I think it's a pretty easy decision for offense. We only saw one player. Yeah, JJ McCarthy, 34 touchdown passes to 4 picks, 75 completion percentage. Pretty easy decision there. Who was the second best QB for passer rating? Caleb did well, looks like. Where was Daniels? May was 3rd. Daniels was 4th. Penix back on the Falcons was 5th. What happened to Bo Nix? He's the Lions starter now. He really was disappointing here. I mean, overall, these would be really good numbers for real life, but with how he was looking, he was the best QB for probably the first 3 years, then just fell off a cliff. Well, he just played about the same. He never really took the next step, I would say. Damn, Bucky Irving is still around at 31. He had one good year where he had 5.1 per carry and 11 touchdowns. He's never really got that many rushes for the Bucks. Ooh, really good year from Xavier Worthy, though. Almost 1,300 yards, only 4 receiving touchdowns, but good amount of yards. Brian Thomas, he's been steady. 1,000 yards every year. Not too much more. He did have 1,300 one year, though. He's had 1,100 these past years, but I would still give it to McCarthy for this first year. But on defense, ooh, Chop with 13 sacks this year. 9 TFLs might have to go to him. Tavondre Sweat, 16 TFLs and 8 sacks. That's pretty good. Oh, I want to be sure I'm seeing everyone. 10.5 sacks for Latu. So yeah, it didn't show him in the full NFL list. 9 sacks and 12 TFLs for Murphy. I'm worried I missed someone early on here, like in the first couple years before I remembered that it doesn't show everyone when you show the full NFL list for God knows what reason. But 4 picks for Tyke Smith, 3 for Jeremiah Trotter. He's been really good these last few years. Still only normal dev, but really good numbers. How did this not give him star? What? But Edgerrin Cooper, 5 picks, 7 TFLs, 115 tackles, a sack, 8 pass deflections. Should we give it to him, or is 13 sacks more valuable? Who was ranked higher? Because it's a tough decision. Chop was 7, and then I think Edge was 5, or no, he was 2. Okay, we'll give it to Edgerrin Cooper, just based off of that. So for the final year, kinda 2 first-timers. I had a year where I gave it to both Braden Fisk and Edgerrin Cooper. I had them share the award because I couldn't make a decision. And then JJ McCarthy, I was saying how I haven't really noticed him. I hope I haven't been missing him, but maybe I have. But all right, for the final time, we are gonna get into the playoffs. Again, this is something kind of different than what I usually do, so if you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like if you want to see another one of these. It'll let me know. I'll probably do 2023 or whatever team you want me to do in the past like 8 years. Let me know that down in the comments. Hell, I could even do one of these with the upcoming draft class, do a mock draft and put them in Madden. I guess that would probably be harder because I would have to create every player, but whatever. No, I could just import my draft class and do it that way. I could do that too if you want me to do the 2025 class, simulate 10 years. Let me know in the comments. But all right, let's get to the Super Bowl. Who is going to be in it? Will we have a repeat winner? I think it is possible. I don't think so. I don't think either of these teams have won one. I know the Lions were in one. Also, the Lions, the lowest overall team in the league, are in the Super Bowl. I love Madden, if you didn't know that. I wish there was a better alternative, but there's not. But let's see for the final game of this rebuild. Again, I really hope y'all enjoyed. This was so much fun. Let's see who wins. It is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers for the first time. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot. I have to decide who was the best player on offense and defense throughout this whole redraft challenge. For offense, I think it was a pretty easy decision. Jaden Daniels, big surprise. Now MVP, I mean, just look at these numbers. If this was real life, he would be easily the best quarterback of all time. Unfortunately, finishing on a kind of down year, but still, like, for real life standards, still a monster year. Even rushing a steady, like, 400 per year pretty easily. And for defense, it is a lot tougher. This might be a weird pick. There are a couple options here. Let me check out career totals. So for the Jets, Leonard Taylor is up to 543 tackles, 118 TFLs, and 90.5 sacks. He is gonna be at 100 soon if he doesn't retire. Edgerrin Cooper, 16 away from 1,000 tackles, 47 TFLs, 11.5 sacks, and 31 picks. That might be better. That's a lot. I might have to give it to him. The third candidate, I don't know what team he's on at this point. I think the last we saw him, he was on the Giants? Not on the Giants anymore. Might have retired by this point, unfortunately. Aiden Hutchinson broke the sack record, 205. I mean, that's probably been broken by someone else here, to be fair. Okay, it does look like Braden Fisk unfortunately retired, but he was my other candidate. Tyke Smith also put up some very good numbers, but I think I'm going to give it to Edgerrin Cooper because he was actually someone involved in the redraft. Let me know who you think was the best in the comments.